Okay, so here is the simple mesh poncho. This is made in a worsted weight yarn. This is Roll With It Melange. You can make it in any yarn. Here's a little thicker yarn. This is Roll With It Tweed. It's a little thicker yarn. And we see we've got these lacing here on the sides. So you can make these gathers. You can have an asymmetrical gather, or you can have both of them gathered on the shoulders. I mean, how cool is that? You can kind of twist it to the side, and you can also wear it with the gather in the front. Here is the poncho made from a lace weight yarn. Here it is in pink. This was all made from one cake of Hobby Twister. And here's the second half of that cake. You've got the purple. Of course, you can wear the light one on top and the darker one underneath. It gets a really cool effect. You can wear it on the side, and then if you turn it over, you can do this kind of really cool thing where you have the points going in different directions. Now on to the tutorial. Okay, so for the simple mesh poncho, the materials that you're going to need are a couple of stitch markers, a scissor, a crochet hook of any size that you want that will match with whatever yarn you want, a yarn needle, and a measuring tape. You might want to have just one simple piece of paper and a pen. So let me show you how to put this together. Okay, so for this project, how much yarn are you going to need? Well, it's really going to depend on what kind of, what weight yarn you're using, what crochet hook you're using, and how big you're going to make it. But just to give you an idea, this blue one here that I made in Roll With It Roll With It Tweed. I used 300, well, let's just call it 400 yards, which is about 1.5 skeins of that yarn. In the colorful one here, I made this using Roll With It Melange, and this is a lighter weight yarn. I used 466 yards, which is also about 1.5 skeins of Roll With It Melange. So this is like a worsted weight. This one here, the tweed one, I think they do call it a worsted weight, but it's really a little bit more like a bulky weight. So, but you can use any yarn you'd like. So you're probably looking at, if you're making it for an adult, somewhere between if you're using worsted weight, somewhere between 400 and 600 yards. But it could be more if you want your poncho to be much longer, or it could be less if you want it to be shorter. The thing is, it's very customizable. All right, so let's just go over how this poncho is put together. You can make it in one of two ways. You can either make it with this cowl neck first and then go into your increases, or you can have it just have no turtleneck, no cowl neck, and just go right into your increases. So the blue one is like this, and my colorful one is like this. Okay, so let's take a look at how this pattern works. The first step is you're going to figure out the circumference of your neck opening, the length, the width, or the size that you would like. To give you a reference, the one that I made here in Roll With It Melange is 22 inches all the way around. So from here to here is 11 inches, but all the way around is 22 inches. I was using a 6.5 millimeter hook. Again, this is a worsted weight, Roll With It Melange, and I started with 68 chains. You can do the same if you like, or you can get it to be exactly to the measurement that you would like. So once you have your chain, you're going to join the last chain to the first chain with a slip stitch to form your circle. Then our first row is going to be, we're going to chain 4. The first three chains is the equivalent of a double crochet, and then we have the chain 1. We're going to skip a chain and do a double crochet in the next chain. We do a chain 1, skip a chain, double crochet in the next chain, skip 1, chain 1, and so on all the way around until you get to the last chain 1, and you're going to join with a slip stitch to the third chain. So let's take a look at that in action. So we're going to start with a slip knot. I just cross it over like this and then pull up the yarn from below, put that on my hook and pull it tight. And the easiest way to do this is not to worry about counting the full amount, just count in multiples of 8. So you're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and 16 stitches will be long enough for this sample. We're just going to then take our chain, we're going to go to the very first chain, and we're going to go into that chain and we're going to do a slip stitch to connect it and form that ring. So I went into that stitch, I'm going to yarn over and pull through a loop, and then I pull that loop through my first loop. That's a slip stitch. And now it's connected. Okay, so now to begin our first row, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our double crochet plus a chain 1. We're going to skip the next chain right there. We're going to go into the next chain and do a double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, go into that chain. I like to go under 2 threads. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. It's helpful to kind of push this guy around, and then you can see the 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1. All right, so you see we've done the chain 4, we've done the first double crochet, we've done the chain 1. So now we're going to skip this next chain and go into this chain and do another double crochet. So yarn over, go into that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. I'm going to push this guy to the back, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're just going to do that all the way around, skipping a chain, doing a double crochet until we get to the end. And if you're just starting out, sometimes it can be a little hard to kind of figure out, like, where's my next chain? Which one am I skipping? Like, because they can get kind of stretched out. So this chain, you can see these 2 threads here, 1, 2, and then here's our next one, 1, 2, and then there's the bottom. Whoops, sorry about that. There's the 1, 2, 3 parts of that chain. So we're going to skip that one, and then we're going to go into the next one. Skip this one, go into this one, double crochet, chain 1, and we're at our last chain here, this guy right there. and we are going to slip stitch to the third chain in our initial chain 4. So that's 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into that chain, yarn over, pull through a loop, and pull that loop through the loop on our hook. That's a slip stitch. All right, so now we have our first row completed. So now at this stage you have a choice. You have a choice about whether you are going to make this with the cowl neck, or whether you're going to just have a regular neck opening and go right into making the poncho. So we're going to go over this one first, and then this one you will just follow the instructions from when we start increasing. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so if you are making the cowl neck, what you're going to do, we just finished row 1 where we did our chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we finished with our last chain, and we did a slip stitch to this third chain. So to begin the next round, if you are making a cowl neck, you're going to just repeat this same row. You're going to chain 4, and then you're going to double crochet into your double crochets. You're going to skip your chains, do a chain in between. You're going to do double crochet into the double crochet, and so on all the way around till you get to your last chain, and then you're going to join to your third chain of your chain 4 with a slip stitch. So let's take a look at that. So again, this is if you're making the cowl. You're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go to this next double crochet right here, and we're going to go into that stitch and do a double crochet. Chain 1, skip this chain 1 and double crochet into the next double crochet. Chain 1, and so on all the way around. And you can know where to go. It's at the top of that double crochet. It's going to be under that V stitch there at the top of your double crochet. So you go under those 2 threads there, that V, to make your double crochet. Chain 1, chain 1, one more, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to this third chain here. So that's 1, 2, 3. Go in there, yarn over, pull through a loop, and pull that loop through the loop on your hook. So you're just going to repeat that row until you have the height that you want for your cowl neck, however high you want it to be. Now, something else to keep in mind is what I've been showing you here is we have been going in the same direction with each row. And when you do that, it gives you a nice look. I'll show you here on this one here. It's going to give you a definite right side and a wrong side. So this is the right side. All the stitches were going in the same direction, okay, when I made this one. And then you're definitely going to have a definite wrong side where it kind of doesn't look as good. It's got a little more, I don't know, squiggles in there, if you will, and this side just looks a little neater. Now, if you want your poncho to be reversible so that you can not worry about whether it's right side in or right side out, one of the things that you can do is when you start each row, you can go in the opposite direction. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, and instead of going into this stitch, you know, continuing in the same direction we were going, you can turn it and work back in the other direction. And what that's going to do is it's going to make your work more like when you're working a piece flat, you know, like a blanket or anything that you're not working in the round, where you're not going to have the right side and the wrong side look exactly the same. So that's up to you, and it can also, the decision for whether to do this or not can depend on whether you're using a color changing yarn or not. It's really, really not a big decision. If you're using a color changing yarn though, especially if it's like has like a gradual color change, you might want to use the method of just going in the same direction the whole time. And the reason is because let's say your color was changing to here. When you come up, it's going to then continue around this way, as opposed to continuing around this way where you kind of would have the color kind of doubled up. It's just a small little consideration. So just something to think about, not a big deal. So again, we're just going to slip stitch to the third chain. So it's 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, pull through a loop, and pull it through the loop on my hook. Okay, and so, and then, you know, you can go as long as you want until you get the height of the turtleneck that you desire. Okay, so now we're ready to learn how to do the increases, and I'm going to show you here the increase formula. It's very simple. You're going to count up the number of double crochets that you have, and you're going to divide it by 2. Then you're going to take that number and you're also going to divide that by 2. Okay, so you're going to have 2 numbers. So let's take an example, and let's say you did, this is your number of double crochets, not your total number of stitches, but the number of double crochets. So like in this example, I did 16 stitches. That means I had 8 double crochets. So let's just use an example with a larger number. Let's say you had 20 double crochets. You're going to divide that by 2 and you get 10. Then you're going to divide that by 2 and we get 5. So what we're going to do with that is the first increase is going to be 5 stitches, 5 double crochets, not stitches, 5 double crochets from your starting double crochet. Okay, so let me show you what that means. So this is an example with 20 stitches, 20 double crochets. So it was a total of 40 stitches to begin with, 40 chains to begin with. And this is where we do our chain 4. So your first increase is going to be 5 double crochets from the starting double crochet. Okay, so this chain 3 is your first double crochet. That's your starting double crochet. So we're going to count 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to put a stitch marker there. Okay? Then what you're going to do to find the second increase is then going to be this number, 10 stitches from the first increase. Okay, so this is our first increase. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is where you will put your next stitch marker. So you'll put a stitch marker in those two places where your increases are going to be. And this will take you about, 5 minutes or so to just do this very simple math. And this is the whole reason why we make this pattern in multiples of 8. It's so that we will not get any fractions when we get to this number here. Okay, so let's take a look at how the increase row goes. Okay, so I'm going to show that to you using a little bit smaller example. I'm going to use the example that I'm actually making here. So I have 8 double crochets, and I'm going to divide that by 2 and I get 4. I'm going to divide that by 2 and I get 2. So this was my starting double crochet, so I'm going to count 1, 2. This one here is going to be where I make my increases. So I'll put a stitch marker there. Then from there I'm going to count 4 stitches, 4 double crochets rather. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where I'm going to put my other stitch marker. So let's take a look at that right here. So this is my first double crochet, my chain 3. So I'm going to count 1, 2. Right? We did 1, 2, yeah. So 1, 2, and I'm going to put a stitch marker in that. And then from there, I'm going to count 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put another stitch marker. So from there, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and put the other stitch marker. And now our increases are going to be totally symmetrical, okay? And our seam is going to be right in the center between the two of them, the place where we begin and end. And at the end of this pattern, you'll see why that's also important. All right, so let's take a look at how that next increase row goes. Okay, so the next increase row is going to start the same way. We're going to do chain 4. We're going to do a double crochet into each double crochet, a chain 1 above each chain 1, and then when we get to our stitch marker, we're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, all into that same double crochet. Then we do our chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. We get to our next stitch marker and we're going to do the same thing. Double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. That's our increase. Then a chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and we're going to finish up with our slip stitch to the 3rd chain. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to skip this chain 1. I'm going to do a double crochet into this double crochet here. And of course, on yours, you're going to have, a lot more double crochets between here and here. And then we get to our stitch marker and we're going to make our increase. So we need to do our chain, not forget our chain 1. And then we're going to double crochet, chain 2, and then do another double crochet. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the stitch marker up. That's where our next increase will be. So now we want to do another chain 1 and double crochet. So continue in the pattern all the way to the next stitch marker. Don't forget your chain 1s between your double crochets. All right, here we are at the next stitch marker. Let's just take that out, and we're going to do a double crochet. Get more yarn here. So we do double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and then another double crochet into that same stitch. All right, do your chain 1 and then finish in pattern, double crochet, chain 1, and here we are at the end. So we're going to slip stitch into the third chain, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through a loop, pull through the loop on the hook, and that's slip stitched. So now we have, and let me put the stitch marker into this place here where we're doing our increases. Okay, so we've made our first increase. You can see that there. So let's take a look at what the next row looks like. All right, so the next row is just the repeat row. You're going to repeat this for the rest of the pattern. And again, you can either continue to go all the way around in the same direction, or you can go back and forth like I showed you before, where at the end of each row you can turn your work. It's up to you. So the repeat row goes like this. We're going to chain 4, same start, double crochet in our double crochets, chain 1 over our chain 1s. Here's our next double crochet, chain 1, and then into this chain 2 space we're going to do a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all the way around. Here we are again at the next one. Don't forget, after every double crochet, except for this increase V here, you're going to have a chain 1. So we have our chain 1, double crochet, chain 2, chain 1, double crochet, and so on to the end. And we join, of course, with a slip stitch to that third chain, and you just repeat that over and over again. Again, you know, the next row after that would be the same. You'd come down here, chain 1, and then you would do your V-stitch into that chain 2. Chain 1, and so on all the way around. Okay, let me just show you again. You come all the way around in pattern. Chain 1, and now we're going to do our V-stitch here. Chain 1, double crochet, and so on. Oops, just one of those guys. So you're going to do that all the way around. So you're just going to repeat this purple row all the way around. So let's take a look at that. So in this example, I'm just going to continue to work in the same direction, but again, you have that option to turn your work and work back around this way on every other row. So chain 4, double crochet into the double crochets, chain 1, double crochet into the double crochets, chain 1. Okay, look, here we are. We're at our increase place. I'll take that stitch marker out, and I'm going to do my increase V, which is a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And then we always have chain 1 in between, so then we go into our next double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. Need some more yarn. Oh, let's put this stitch marker back into our place. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and here we are at the next increase place. I'm going to take that out, and we did our chain 1. We're going to do our V, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then we do chain 1 and our next double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet, chain 1, and here we are at the start again. We're going to slip stitch into the third chain, 1, 2, 3, and that is it. You're going to repeat that row until you have the length that you desire. And you know, any other variations on this, you can add a border on the bottom, you could add a border on the top. Another variation you could do, which I did with this blue one, is when I started, instead of going right into my double crochet, chain 1, let me show you in this direction. I did 1 row of single crochets first in every single chain. It just gave a little bit more of a border than this one, but you know, you might just like that simple mesh without a border, so it's totally up to you. And so that that is the pattern. So for finishing up, you're just going to, when your shawl is, sorry, not your shawl, your poncho, when your poncho is completely done, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to cut the yarn. You're going to pull that through and just pull that nice and tight. Then you're going to sew in your ends, your first one and your last one. After that, when you're working on it and when you're finished, please share your pictures with me. I would love to see them. You can share them in my Facebook group. You can share them with me on Instagram. You can use the hashtag #SimpleMeshPoncho. You can send me an email of your pictures. You can leave a link in the comments below. Or if you're on Ravelry, you can link your project to this pattern. I really get so excited to see your pictures. So please, please, please send those to me. Let me know about them. I'd love to see them. And if you're sending it on Instagram, tag me at light_and_joy_designs. And then lastly, if you like this video, please like and subscribe for new patterns coming out at least every couple of weeks, sometimes once a week. And if you really loved it, share it with a friend. And here we go. In the end, we're going to have some photos. Keep watching. Thanks for joining. See you soon. Bye-bye. All right, so the very last thing is on the styling side is how to make the gathers. So this is very, very easy. What you're going to do is you are going to make a chain. So here's your poncho. This is your increase edge, and this is your other increase edge. This is the line of double crochets. These are all your chain 3s. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a chain that is twice the length from here to here, okay? Or just a little bit longer. And then what you're going to do is you're going to weave it in and out of, because basically, you know, this mesh is like a grid, right? And you have all these. So you're going to weave that chain in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, all the way up to this level here. And then you're going to come around and go in and out, in and out, in and out, all the way down, back down. And you can have, and then what you're going to do is you're going to tie it, or like make it into a knot, so that this weaving chain is just like a continuous circle. And then what you'll do is, so you can see here, I have mine woven, and here it is at the very bottom, and it just weaves in and out, in and out, in and out, all the way up to the bottom of the cowl neck. And then on the inside, you can see I just have it tied with a little knot there. All right, and anytime you want to gather it, you can pull it from either end, but in my case I pulled it from this end, and you just pull it up for the amount of gather that you would like. And then on the inside you can just tie a little bow. So you just cross it, pull through a loop, and then, you know, pull through another loop like that. All right, and then it will just hold in place. Nobody will see this on the inside, and you'll have that cool gather, and you can wear the gather on both sides or just on one side, but that's how you make that simple gather with this mesh shawl, and it has a really cool look. So let me know what you think of that.